Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. I'm your host, John Harrington, and this evening we're going to be continuing our second video of the day, which will be our double feature as we get into more of anime and Marvel comics as we continue the Anime Marvel Phase 3 Part 2 of the Fallout Saga, Defender's Road to Shibuya. And we begin with another story from a rather underground, kind of grassroots kind of anime and manga series, which while being short was very compelling and a story that doesn't really get used very often in the what if landscape. That being the story of Gleipnir. But with this story in particular, we're going to be doing Legion of Monsters. This series will be a crossover between Gleipnir and Werewolf by Night. But while we will be using Werewolf by Night, we're also going to be using more of the monster element of Marvel Comics, which, as you know, they do have a portion of some famous monsters from Universal Studios and other properties of that nature that fall into the monster genre. And while we have done a series like that already with What If Skune Was Spider-Man that has a monster element of its own, this is going to be another interpretation of that as we delve more into the realm of the Defenders. But without further ado, let's get into this evening's video. As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. To everyone around him, Shuichi Kaguya seemed like your average, ordinary school student. Despite his origins coming from a small town on the outskirts of Tokyo, a place that was more rural and quiet. It wasn't an area where everyone was nosy into everyone's business, but once you'd seen a face in town, it was hard to forget it. It was a more smaller, more intermediate community. The kind of place where your grandma and grandpa went into retirement, and the kind of place where the young and the youth couldn't wait to make their ways into the big city. Of course, to everyone's surprise, Shuichi chose to follow an opposite route. He had the grades and he qualified to get into a better school in Tokyo if he really wanted. But for some reason, he declined the offer. To his friends and close associates, they couldn't make any sense of it. Even for a small town like theirs, where not a whole lot of prospects often came from, Shuichi was the exception to the rule. If anyone was going to quote-unquote make it, he would be the one to do so, but instead, he was content to stay where he was. Everyone just chalked it up to him being more sentimental, that he didn't want to leave any friends or family behind, but for Shuichi, he had his own reasons. A small town meant that it was a lot easier to keep a secret, a lot less witnesses, a lot less people looking over their shoulder at you. Shuichi had the perfect persona. It wasn't like he was fake or anything, but people knew him a certain way. It was a lot better than trying to go to a new area to start over with a new identity. No, Shuichi knew what he was doing. Every day after school, he found himself going home, being unbothered. Of course, no one really knew what was going on with him, and it was for the best. If they ever figured it out, it would probably be the end for him. But Shuichi had run into a problem. It all started that morning when he realized he didn't have his cell phone. At first, he couldn't have thought of what he had done with it. Maybe he had left it in the bathroom, the living room? It wasn't in the house. And then he remembered what he had done the night before. But Shuichi, he just pushed those feelings to the side because surely, he couldn't have done what he thought he did. And almost as if it were some divine act, as he was making his way to school, there was someone that was waiting for him. A girl with long, flowing blonde hair. with eyes that were ever piercing, as if she knew some dirty little secret that only she and Shunichi could know. And almost as if it were on cue, she pulled a phone from her bag, waving it at him. She didn't say a word, she merely gestured with her finger, as if she were luring him into a trap, a fly being caught in the web of a spider who slowly descended onto her prey. Shuichi had no choice but to follow, and he knew that when he did, there would be no turning back. Of course, he didn't want trouble, but unfortunately, trouble always had a way of finding him. As they made their way to the roof of the school, the girl continued to taunt about having his phone. It was like this was a game to her, but Shuichi knew better than to act rash or careless. You're a very busy boy, you know that? I mean, most academically inclined students are in their home by 9 p.m., but you're off gallivanting through forests, saving damsels in distress from fires. Ever the hero, ever the monster. Please, just give me back my phone. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure whatever it is, I don't know what I'm talking about, the girl said. I'm pretty sure I do. They all thought that I was crazy, or rather they would. I tried to tell people in the beginning, but no one believed me. But now I have my proof. Are we going to do this the easy way, or are we going to do this the hard way, monster boy? Quit calling me a monster. I'm not. And whatever you think you know, I promise you, you don't know the half of it. So please, just give me back my phone, and I'll be on my way. Fine. It's not like I was going to get anywhere with you anyway. The girl placed her phone on the ledge, along with Shuichi's, as if it were just some ordinary thing, as she started emptying out the contents of her bag. Of course, doing it on the ledge of the school's roof was not the smartest thing to do, but all he had to do was grab his phone and just leave. And whatever she was up to, it would be on her, not him. The moment he reached down to grab his phone, however, he felt a swift kick in the butt as he went falling over the edge, looking up to see the girl with a sinister grin on her face. She lured him into a false sense of security to get him to come over there. And then she kicked him off a 3-story school. She was going to kill him. At least that's what one would think. Instinctively, the boy would transform, his body morphing and shaping into something unworldly. And as he looked up to the girl, he saw her taking a picture of him. She had her proof, her material for blackmail. The rest of the school day would go as normally as it could, but Shuichi, well, he couldn't pay attention. He knew there was no point in trying to go home. No, he had a date with destiny, and it came in the form of that girl who was waiting for him. She watched as he would be the last one to pull from the building, the last student to leave, and she was a patient individual, waving her phone. You know, had you just confessed, you would have saved me a lot of trouble. You naughty little monster. Quit calling me a monster. Well, what are you then? What do you want? Follow me. As they continued on in their walk, Shuichi had no idea where they were going. The girl would introduce herself as Claire Aoki. Of course, Shuichi wanted explanation, but for Claire, the only thing that was on her mind was this coin. A gold coin with a star ingrained into it. Shuichi had never seen this coin before, and for Claire, she thought that he was worthless. A monster that didn't know where this coin came from. Just when she thought she had all the answers, life had a way of changing the questions. But for now, she had made some leeway. Monsters were real, and now she had one of her own. They would soon arrive to Claire's apartment. As they made their way inside, it didn't take Shuichi long to notice that the girl was rather unclean. She didn't seem to take care of herself in a meaningful way. Dirty clothes strung all across the floor, the smell of molding and old food, a lot of junk food and bags and snacks scattered all over the place. It was obvious the girl probably didn't have many home-cooked meals. But that was the least of his worries, as she just started to change clothes. Of course, Junichi wanted to show respect, but at the same time, a boy couldn't help but be a little curious. And, well, even if he didn't want to tell himself, little Shuichi had different plans in mind. Of course, Claire knew that she was a tease, but right now that wasn't her primary focus. As she turned back to Shuichi after changing, they had to get back to the bottom of things. The monsters, this strange coin. For Claire, the only thing that mattered was finding the truth. And the truth had a way of showing up at the most convenient and sometimes the most inconvenient of times. It came in the form of another girl, about the same age as the two of them, who came charging in through her back window, immediately kicking Shuichi to the ground before setting her sights on Claire. The girl was dressed in a red hoodie and short jeans, and she had her sights set on that coin. For Claire, this worked out perfectly. She wanted answers, and it seemed like this girl was going to provide them. And because she was one to underestimate her opponent, she didn't notice that Shuichi had transformed. He turned into a large mascot dog wolf looking thing dressed in raggedy overalls. He looked like something from some children's special on early morning television. A little creepy, maybe. Perhaps something that you might see at an amusement park. A mascot. An ugly wolf ragdoll looking mascot, but a mascot nonetheless. A mascot monster with power. The kind of power that could restrain this girl as Claire went asking for the truth. Claire wanted to know more about these coins, to understand what they were. At first, the girl didn't fully understand what they were getting at. She thought that they were gatherers like her, but if they didn't know anything, it meant they were ignorant. "We can start with your name," Claire asked. "What brings your pretty little self into my home? I mean, you didn't even give me enough time to break out the fine china. But I can forgive all of your rudeness. You just have to tell me what this is." "Well, that can give you power," the girl said. "But power that comes at a cost. And trust me, you don't want to know." "Oh, but I do. I really, really do. Or my associate here might have to rip you to shreds." "Why would you say that?" Shuichi would ask. "I don't want to kill anyone." "Will you shut up? You're supposed to look intimidating," Claire said. Now, state your name, your business, and what I can do with this coin. Also, are you a monster? You don't want to know. The more you know, I might just have to kill you. In fact, I probably am. Oh, really? And how are you gonna kill me? As if to answer Claire's question, the girl's arms and legs would transform into a black and red amalgamation. She looked like she had the arms and legs of a monster herself as she kicked away at Shuichi and started stomping him into the floor. By the time she turned around, Claire had already prepared herself with pepper spray. Blinding the girl's eyes, Shuichi would pick up Claire and the two of them would begin to run. Much to Claire's dismay, she didn't go through all the trouble of blackmailing a monster that wasn't going to fight. As Shuichi looked up, he could see that the full moon was starting to come into view, and this only sent a more chilling sensation into him. They ran as far as they could, eventually arriving to a truck and container yard. As they ducked behind a wall of containers, Shuichi would finally set Claire down, but she was not too happy with how her monster was performing. Geez, Shuichi, I thought you were going to be able to take that bitch out. So what? You just ran away with your tail between your legs? Literally, I might say. Look, I don't know what you're trying to get us into, but I can tell that she's bad news. All we have to do is just run off. Hopefully she'll never come back in. She knows about the coins, Shuichi. She knows about us. She saw our face. You think she won't be able to find us in this small, godforsaken, raggedy-ass town? We're a liability. Like she said, she had to give up a lot to get that coin. Power. Something like this, it doesn't come around often. And for her, she's obviously willing to kill for it. What are you getting at? Shuichi would ask. What I'm getting at? That girl is going to come after us with everything she's got. It's either kill or be killed, Shuichi. I don't want to kill anyone. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I am, and... So you don't know that there's a zipper on your back? A zipper? Yeah. It's a giant-ass zipper, like a mascot's zipper. I don't think this is just any transformation. This is a suit. A suit? Is that what's been happening to me? I manifest a suit? Well, there's only one way to find out. We have to take a look under the hood and see what we find. Claire would move behind Shuichi as she pulled down the zipper in question, expecting to find Shuichi stuck in there somehow. Perhaps he just had a weird power of manifesting a giant wolf dog raggedy-ass mascot uniform. But what she found was something far more disturbing. Because you see, when she pulled down the zipper and looked into Shuichi, she saw nothing. There was nothing inside of him. Nothing at all. He was empty. Shuichi couldn't believe it. He was alive. He knew that much. But how could he be empty? What had he turned into? Just as Claire predicted, the assailant was on her way. Claire instinctively would move inside of Shuichi. It felt slimy, a little wet, as if she were inside someone's own skin. But there was another sensation. She felt as if they were intertwining with each other, as if she felt someone's own soul touching hers. By the time that the mystery girl had arrived, she only saw the monster suit guy. She didn't see the girl anywhere. Claire had now entered into Shuichi. She could control him, move him. It felt like the two of them had become one. She turned back, now in Shuichi's body, if you will. Empowered, emboldened by this newfound strength, Claire would engage with the mystery girl in question. Shuichi would allow his power to flow through Claire, and Claire in turn would channel that power through the suit. It was a little rugged at first, as they continued to get in sync, but they were able to gain the advantage. The girl seemed like a natural athlete. She bounced around and relied heavily on her kicks and counter-strikes. But for Claire, she knew her way around a fight or two, and they seemed to be dead even. That was until the girl noticed the zipper. She jumped onto Shuichi's back, ripping at the zipper and pulling Claire by her hair and dragging her out. Shuichi panicked as he was immediately kicked into one of the containers, causing the top container to flip down and land on top of him. For Claire, things had not gone the way she had hoped, and now she found herself at the mercy of this monster. Of course, to say that she was afraid would be an understatement, but in the time of fear, when fight or flight are your only two options, Claire always had a knack for choosing the option of running her mouth, and that quickly got her a punch in the face, knocking her onto the cold concrete ground as she was stomped on repeatedly. For Shuichi, he could hear Claire's cries, and they bothered him. He hardly knew this girl, and yet the thought of her dying in such a way, that angered him. Suddenly, the metal container would be punched repeatedly until finally the metal would be torn away. The mystery girl in question turned back to see what had happened. It all happened like a blur. The next thing Claire knew, she watched as the girl in question was on the ground, beaten, ripped and torn apart. How she was even conscious, Claire didn't even know. Her arms had been ripped from their sockets, and what loomed over her, it looked like a man that was a wolf. Shuichi? Claire noticed right beside her there was a comically sized gun on the ground. She picked it up, just barely able to hold it, as she pointed it towards him. He lunged right at Claire as she shot, managing to hit him in the arm as he fell over, but still managing to get on top. He looked down into her eyes, and Claire, hers filled with fear, believing that this was going to be the end. She reached her hand towards his, their two embracing, their fingers interwoven as the feral and the hatred in his eyes would slowly fade. Slowly, his body would begin to expand, transforming from this beast, wolf-like creature of a man into the funny, fuzzy mascot. And then his eyes glazed over as he fell to the ground unconscious. Claire, picking up the gun, would steer clear of Shuichi as she walked over to where the now helpless and armless mystery monster girl was lying. You caused me and my associate a lot of trouble, you know. Looks like you're in a lot of pain. I can help you with that. Go to hell. Yeah, I know. But I can make it easier for you. Put you out of your misery. Come on. We won fair and square. You didn't do anything, bitch. That was your little boy toy over there. He turned into a monster. I couldn't stop him. I thought I had power, but I guess I was wrong. So you know about this. That coin. There's a man that's looking for it. In exchange for the coins, he gives you power. You can transform yourself. You can be anything. Become anything. But you're never the same. Every time, it takes more out of you. Until eventually you're no longer human. Your friend over there, who knows how many times? Who knows if he's even human anymore? Oh. Well, that explains a lot. Thank you. You've been a very big help. She fired a single bullet in her head. And with that, the mystery monster girl was no more. By the time Shuichi woke up again, they were in that burnt down, abandoned barn, or whatever it was. The place where he had saved her that night. His arms were tied behind his back, and Claire was sitting in front of him. Good morning, Sleeping Beauty. It looks like you're awake. Why? I need to know. Do you really not know about these coins? I don't know anything. I believe you. For that short time that we were joined together, I saw your past. Fragments of it. You've never seen this coin before, so you're telling the truth. But still, how did you turn from that mascot into a werewolf, though? A what? Is that what I am? She could tell that Shuichi was going to break down into tears. As she undid his bindings, she gave him a bottle of water, sitting next to him as he tried to calm himself. I don't want to live like this. Please. I just want this to end. I can tell that this really bothers you, doesn't it? Of course it does. I don't know what's going to happen to me. I mean, what if I transform and I never turn back? What if I'm stuck like this forever? I don't know. I killed and You didn't kill her. I did. You what? Look, we didn't have a choice. She was going to kill us if we didn't, and that's not the point. It's not okay. None of this is okay, Claire. We're lost. I know. And you feel like you're in this on your own. But I saw your past. You've been hurt. Yeah, I have. Who was she? You saw that too, huh? My sister, Elena. She's the one that murdered my parents. So that's why? I want to learn everything I can about these monsters. I want to find that bitch and kill her myself. You're after revenge. There's no other way to put it. No fancy spin of things. I just want revenge, Shuichi. But maybe we can help each other. You have a power inside of you. A power that I can only begin to fathom. But you don't have any way of controlling it. So let me control it. Let me bear that burden. But why? Why would you do that? Because we're broken. It doesn't mean that we can't help each other, though. And I promise you, if you ever feel like you're going to lose it, if we ever reach a point where we're at the end, you won't die alone. If your life goes, I go with you. You can't make that kind of promise. Yes, I can. If we're going to work together to fulfill our dreams, it means we're putting our lives on the line. I'm a lot of things, Shuichi, but I refuse to be selfish. If you're going to put your life on the line to help me achieve my dream, then I will do the same for you. If we succeed together. If we fail together. We win together. If we lose together. And if we die? Shuichi would ask, as Claire looked into his eyes with her own and smiled. Then we die together. This is the vow that I make to you, Shuichi. You and I will be joined together in both life and in death. This concludes Gleipnir, Legion of Monsters. What if Shuichi was the werewolf? Season 1, Part 1. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that's to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned tomorrow evening as we continue with Gleipnir, Legion of Monsters. What if Shuichi was the werewolf? Season 1, Part 2. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings, signing off, and I'll see you next time.